The new year is here! It is officially 2025 now, and it is time to say goodbye to 2024. But before we start looking forward to some of this year's upcoming games, I thought it would be fun to go back and look at my personal top 5 favorite moments in gaming from the previous year. Do note that this is not like a list of my top favorite games or anything like that. This is just a collection of personal favorite moments that had anything at all to do with gaming. And to kick things off, I'm going to start you off here with my number 5 pick of something that you will only hear from me. Arcade1Up's reveal of their claw machine. Now bear with me here, let me explain why this is on my list. I made a video a while back detailing what I thought Arcade1Up could do to help their business because they seem to have just shot themselves in the foot completely by just rehashing cabinets that nobody really wanted to see rehashed. I've been a fan of Arcade1Up ever since I first laid eyes on some of their products that were coming into the warehouse I was working in at the time. From that moment on, I wanted to look up what they were all about, and it was there that my goal of having my own personal arcade in my house came to life. But after watching the company rise so quickly and bring back games like Marvel vs. Capcom and NFL Blitz, it's really frustrating and sad to see them struggle to stay relevant nowadays. And one of the ideas I had for them in my video, for them to branch out and think outside the box a bit, was for things like a whack-a-mole machine, skee ball, or a claw machine. Now, do I believe that somebody from Arcade1Up watched my video and was inspired to take my advice on how to run their company? No. But to see one of my ideas for them actually come to pass was a pretty cool moment, and it got me really excited for this thing. Unfortunately though, it looks like the Arcade1Up claw machine has some issues, and from what I've seen, about half of the people who bought it, it broke on them pretty quickly. Once it came out, this thing sold out pretty quickly, so there's definitely a demand for something like this. However, I think I'm gonna wait until they make a new one before I decide whether to buy it or not. It seems like everybody who was talking about this thing originally has stopped talking about it. So I don't know if that means that there are no more issues with it than there were when it launched, or if people just didn't care enough about it to talk about it anymore. So we'll just have to wait and see what the future holds for the Arcade1Up claw machine. My number 4 favorite moment of 2024 actually encompasses most of the year. That's because I'm including the entirety of Fortnite Chapter 5 in this next slot, and that's because after Chapter 4, I was really concerned about the state of the story. Thankfully, it looks like Epic actually managed to produce a pretty consistent storyline for Chapter 5, and things didn't just seem to bounce around aimlessly. While Season 1 definitely felt like they had wiped the slate clean with Battle Royale's story, we saw Jonesy and Peely become relevant again, and Jonesy retained his memories from all of his previous battles. And the new point of focus on Pandora's box as this sort of substitute for the 0 point actually worked quite well, and it made the seasons feel more connected. This was much better than with Chapter 4 having no idea where the story was going to go, and where it did end up having nothing at all to do with what was seen previously. And besides that, I really like the gameplay of this chapter. I think every chapter had a pretty strong collection of new weapons and made each one of them feel pretty special. I don't care how many people complained about the wrecked season focusing on vehicles. That crap was fun. Anyway, Chapter 4 soured my opinion on Battle Royale's storyline, but Chapter 5 managed to get me reinvested. And I'm riding that excitement right into Chapter 6 because Godzilla is about to be on the island and it is going to be glorious. Now, my number 3 spot technically came out at the end of 2023. However, I didn't start playing it until 2024, so it counts for this video. I've made several videos on this channel talking about how much I love Area Zero from Pokémon Scarlet and Violet, and I was so excited and happy that the DLC for those games was going to take us right back into Paldea's Great Crater. The base game storyline never gave us a true ending or explanation for where these paradox Pokemon came from aside of this mysterious time machine that we really didn't get a true explanation for how it works. All we knew is that the time machine and this AI professor are powered by these mysterious crystals that were found deep down in Area Zero's depths, which we were teased with the reveal of a new Pokemon that were its source. But we had to go through an entirely separate DLC first with the Teal Mask and the story of Ogerpon. In my opinion, the Teal Mask is actually the better storyline of the two DLC sets. And I love the new characters of Carmine and Kieran. Where we first arrive to the Kitakami region, Carmine is instantly hostile towards us, while Kieran wants to be our friend. But as we learn more about the legend of Ogerpon and the Loyal 3, and how the legend is actually not how things really went down, then we see Kieran start to change. And as Kieran starts to act a little more weird, Carmine starts to change as well. And it all comes to a head when Ogerpon rejects Kieran to choose the player, after all the years that Kieran had spent believing that the ogre was innocent the whole time and being proven right. And then to get rejected by his favorite Pokemon, it hurt him, and it caused him to turn to the dark side. This is where part 2 of the DLC kicks in, and we're taken over to the Blueberry Academy in Unova, where Carmine and Kieran are students. In the time between the release of these two DLC packs, Kieran has spent it all training and working his way up through the Blueberry Academy's Elite Four, eventually becoming their champion. The timid little guy that we first met in Kitakami was no more. He was now just a battling machine who only cared about winning. Unfortunately for Kieran, his bad luck streak continues as this title he's worked so hard to earn is taken from him again by the player. But before anybody can even process the end of Kieran's reign of terror as BB League champion, we're back in Area Zero with Kieran and Carmine and Briar, looking for Terapagos at long last. And it's this time down in the crater that we learn of the Underdepths, a region even further down in Area Zero that we previously could not get to. And after a few battles against some terrestrial Pokemon with a Stellar type, we find ourselves in the Chamber of Terapagos, where Kieran is determined to claim it for himself. The former champion manages to actually awaken this legendary Pokemon, but almost immediately, Terapagos goes for the player. Not to have something he really wanted taken away from him by the same person a third time, Kieran quickly throws a Master Ball at Terapagos and captures it. He immediately challenges the player to another battle and, surprise surprise, he loses again. Kieran then terastallizes it, awakening its true form and losing all control in the process. But after things start to look really grim for our group, Kieran suddenly snaps back into his old self. Now with Kieran working with them, the player is able to subdue and capture Terapagos, keeping Area Zero's underdepths from collapsing underneath them. And the story here wraps up with Kieran apologizing and wanting a fresh start with the player so that they can become friends again. Now personally, I think it would have been better to keep Kieran's story and his redemption separate from the reveal of Terapagos. Those two things did not need to be together, because ultimately all it resulted in is Terapagos being a prize to be won at the end of the game. Other than we get to actually see and battle and capture the creature, and we get the introduction of the Stellar type, there's no other real bits of lore explained here. And I was so excited about going back to Area Zero because I knew there would be a new area to explore, at least I hope there would be. And as interesting as the Underdepths as a concept is, it's a pretty empty place. It's got great music, the atmosphere down there is amazing, and the visuals just are so spectacular and mystifying. It looks like there should be a whole lot of secrets to uncover down there, but there just aren't. And yes, there is the extra cutscene at the Crystal Pool after you capture Terapagos, but it just didn't feel very satisfying. Now, even though the story was unsatisfactory to me, it still was very exciting to play through, and I did as much as I could to get through it as quick as I could, because I wanted to get back down in the crater. Area Zero is still my favorite area in any Pokemon game, and hopefully at some point in the future, because we know that the Pokemon Company and Game Freak likes to take us back in time every so often. I hope we'll get to go back down in there again and explore some new mysteries someday.
This one's gonna take you for a ride.
At number 2, I've got a moment that pretty much took the entire gaming world by surprise because it didn't leak and nobody saw it coming. In the middle of a Nintendo Direct, we get the reveal of the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. These games were not available on any modern console and have not been available to buy in so many years. That arcade cabinet behind me was the only way to buy these games officially. I can't remember any sort of collection like this getting the reactions that it got, ever. What's funny is I was watching a compilation video of a bunch of different YouTubers' reactions to the MVC Fighting Collection, and my own reaction was in the compilation. I was not expecting that. I never expected that one of my own reactions would end up in a compilation video featuring the likes of Justin Wong and Maximilian Dude. And not only did Capcom and Nintendo shock the gaming world with this MVC set, they did it again 2 months later. Capcom Fighting Collection 2 would bring back the CVS series, Power Stone, and everybody's favorite, Capcom Fighting Evolution. As of this recording, the MVC collection is already out, and I've got it and it's a lot of fun, and I hope to put some footage of it up on the channel at some point. Once Capcom Fighting Collection 2 comes out, that will mean another huge amount of classic fighting games that people have loved for decades will once again be officially able to be bought on modern hardware. Needless to say, 2024 was definitely the year that Nintendo and Capcom took us all for a ride. For Fortnite's Chapter 2 Remix season, we got a live event that featured Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Ice Spice, and Juice WRLD. I was at least familiar with Snoop Dogg and Eminem, and I had heard of Ice Spice, but I didn't know anything at all about Juice WRLD before this event. And immediately after the event was over, Fortnite premiered the music video for Juice's brand new song, Empty Out Your Pockets. When I first saw this video, I pretty much wasn't paying much attention to it at all, and was kind of treating it like an end credits scene where I was recapping my thoughts on the live event instead of actually watching what was before my eyes. I of course could see the visuals and I could hear the song in my headset, but I wasn't watching and I wasn't listening. But that song and Lucid Dreams really stuck with me, and after the event, I decided to go and look up Juice WRLD and see what he was all about. It of course surprised me to find out that Juice had actually passed away several years ago, but it made the vibe I got from his portion of the live event make a lot more sense. It was then that I realized that I really needed to go back and watch the Empty Out Your Pockets music video again and really pay attention this time. The second viewing of that video hit me harder than I ever expected it to. The video opens up with Juice walking out onto a stage like he's about to give a performance. But then he runs and jumps off the stage, and we're shown that he was actually way high in the sky, and now he's starting to descend down towards the earth, which looks like the Fortnite realm because he starts flying through some battle buses. Then we get clips of him doing a lot of different things that he really enjoyed doing in real life, like riding in cars and some stuff with some chess pieces and artwork, and then also riding motorcycles with one of his real life best friends, Marshmallow. The whole thing looks spectacular, and almost all of it, if not all of it, is made in Fortnite's actual game engine. But the end of the video is absolutely beautiful, and it will bring you to tears. There's a point where we see Juice running up a building, and he jumps as he reaches the top of it. It looks like Juice is trying to jump as high as he can into the sky, but he's just not able to get there. So Marshmallow swoops in with a jetpack, spins him around quickly, and throws him even higher into the sky. We then see Meowtis ready to throw Juice off of his pickaxe, looking like he's launched a shooting star even higher into the heavens. We then see two people building up even higher, with Juice landing right behind them and running in their direction. At the very top of the build, Marshmallow waiting again, this time with Jonesy, the face of Fortnite. They each grab one of his arms, and with one last toss, they appear to get him just high enough that the sky catches him and pulls him upwards. The final shot is of Juice giving us one last little dance as he walks off into the horizon. He throws up the peace sign, then slowly turns around and puts his fist over his chest. People have characterized the ending of the video as the characters helping him build his way back up to heaven. I think regardless of how you view the story of the video, it's still very beautiful and something that I think Epic should actually be quite proud of. This video is a perfect way for not only fans to say goodbye to Juice, but also for Juice to have a way to say goodbye to his fans. And the song is a beautiful piece of art as well. It somehow manages to take a sense of happiness, but also mixes it in with a sense of sadness. And I don't know that I've heard something in recent memory that makes me feel that way. And the song itself is sort of a story of Juice's life summed up very, very briefly. He tells you a little bit about who he is and the success that he has, but he also tells you about his past life where he didn't have any of that and how hard it was. In fact, the song outright tells you that had his big break not come through the very next day, he may have turned to a life of crime and ended up in jail instead of making all of this money and having the success that he had. That may be where the title of the song comes from. Everything about this whole presentation, from the song to the visuals in the video to the music that he's rapping over, it all comes together to form something truly special, and that is why I put it as my #1 favorite moment in gaming from 2024. I've watched this video many times and will probably watch it many more, and it's unfortunate that this is the circumstance in which I am introduced to Juice WRLD, but because of this live event, and because this music video existed, I am now a fan, and I hope to hear many more of his songs now. Sometimes you have to realize that being entertaining is not the most important thing, and sometimes it's best to shut up and pay attention to what's right in front of your face. Otherwise, you might miss something really special the way that I did. Thanks for watching this video, I really appreciate it. If you want to support my channel, then be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button if you haven't already. You can also support my channel by becoming a member, or you can donate directly over on my Ko-fi page. Now it's time to start looking forward to 2025. I hope that last year was good for you all, but whether it was or wasn't, I hope that this year will be even better.